Morning, guys. I really wanted to carry on with the focus this week on staff mental health and wellbeing, just because there's still quite a lot of content out there on the back of the research and data that was released as part of that Teacher Wellbeing Index. And I've read quite a lot of conversations online. I'm in a lot of different networks. I've spoke to a lot of people, as I always do, because I work with so many people nationally. And there seems to be a real common thread that I just wanted to address, really. So there seems to be a lot of conversations around, well, we've got this, and this in place. What else are we expected to do? And then when I look at what the kind of this, and this is, for me, a lot of what's already in place is sticky plasters. A lot of what's already in place are those kind of sugar coat sprinkles on the top of the cake type thing. They're not going to be impactful in the long term. So let me talk to you about what they are. So some of the really common things that are in place at the minute are, we've got wellbeing sessions on a Wednesday, we've got this session running on a Monday, we've got a take one, leave one system where staff can go into the staff room, they can take something like the wellbeing box, like a hot chocolate or a pack of crisps or something like that, and then they put back when they can. We do thank you mugs where we put things into a mug and we give it to someone, we say thank you. There's free tea and coffee accessible to all staff throughout the day in the staff room. We have a free meal at lunchtime for them, like the children do. Things like that seems to be what's most commonly in place. And whilst I'm not saying that that's not kind, it is kind and it's nice to have those things in place, don't get me wrong, but that is not going to shift any real impact when it comes to staff mental health and wellbeing, because it's a sticky plaster. What you're essentially saying is, I'm not really that interested in the fact that you're really bogged down and you're overworked and you're completely stretched within your role and your capacity. Have a cup of tea and a cake, go and access what you can do in the staff room, and that'll help. It's not helpful. It's really, really not helpful. It needs to come down to more of a core focus on what's going on in context in your school. And the most common thing that's felt at the moment, well, I say at the moment, it has been for as long as I've been working in education, is staff are overworked, staff are overstretched, staff don't have the time or capacity to commit to the 10 different roles that's expected of them. They're going home and they're working extortionate amounts of hours outside of school at home to keep up with what's expected of them within school. They're losing time with their families because of that. All of those things are not going to change by just having sticky plasters of free teas and coffees, thank you mugs and wellbeing sessions. It's not helpful. There needs to be a core to what you're doing. You need to audit what's in place and the impact of what's happening at the moment. There needs to be job role stress risk assessments completed. There needs to be reviews of people's roles. You know, that person who's doing 5 different jobs and they're just one person, where's that workload and capacity? Where can it be distributed? And having actual conversations with those people. So don't sit there. What's also quite guilty when people sit down and do this in schools is you're guilty of getting a piece of paper. And like for me, for example, when I was in a school, I was asked, write down everything you do. So I did. And then I went into a meeting and I gave them that piece of paper and I said, this is everything I do. And I left. And they then decided what I was going to continue to do, what was going to be happening, or reviewed everything with no input from me. That's not helpful. If you're going to be reviewing somebody's capacity, you need to be having a conversation with that person, not looking at a piece of paper at what they do during a day. So really, really work with staff to get to the bottom of their capacity, their needs. Make sure your environment at school for your staff, as well as you do for the whole school community, is safe, calm and connected. Make sure it's inclusive to everybody's needs. Make sure that it's able to be differentiated and adapted to suit everybody's needs, including your staff, because we're doing it for our pupils, so we need to do it for our staff. It's really important that these sticky plasters, whilst I keep saying they're lovely to have in place and it's really kind, they are not going to form the heart of your mental health strategy and support systems for your staff. It needs to come deeper and it needs to be something that's more of an integrated support system at its core that supports your staff mental health and well-being, so that these other things like wellbeing sessions and like thank you mugs and free teas and coffees feel nice and feel like, oh, I'm just going to go and grab me a nice cup of coffee. They feel different when you're in a different place. So if I put this scenario based, if you are completely overworked, you're really overwhelmed, you haven't got the capacity to complete your role within the time frame that you're there, so you're taking it home and you're working there and then bringing it back and blah 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 blah. If you're in that position and then you are you really going to choose to then go to a wellbeing session? No, the vast majority of staff are not, because they're not going to prioritise their own mental health and well-being over the 10 all these 10,000 marking books they've got to do. Slight exaggeration, but you catch my point. They're not going to prioritise. And if they did, if it was a case of, no, this is wellbeing time, you're going to do wellbeing time, they're just going to be sat there thinking, I've got all this marking I need to get done and I'm sitting here trying to focus on my wellbeing. It contradicts itself, because actually I'm trying to do my wellbeing, but I'm worrying about the fact that I'm now behind on my workload even more so because I'm sat here focusing on my wellbeing. So it's not helpful. It's got to come deeper. Please take the time to pause and think about that. Please really come down to the heart of what you're focusing on and stop focusing on all these sugar-coated sticky plaster sprinkles. I can't think of any more words for it. As the be all and end all, or the only things that you have in place. I'm not saying scrap them. I'm saying think about deeper. Think about what is the root cause of why your staff are feeling why they're feeling, and focus there, so that in the latter, these other kind of nice sprinkles on the top will feel different to staff. Okay? Please reach out to us and please talk to us. We've delivered quite a lot of training recently around staff mental health and wellbeing. We have got quite a lot of content, so if I can help in any which way, please do get in touch with us, as I've said before. And I will speak to you all on Thursday for Top Tips Thursday.